So joining me now is someone who has a lot of experience in this area. It's attorney and former special prosecutor Nancy Grace. Nancy, you see where we are today and where we will soon be on January 7th. It looks from this vantage point, Nancy, as though it sets up ultimately for some type of plea or some type of insanity defense, some type of mental illness-based defense. What do you think, Nancy?
Number one, voluntary use of drugs or alcohol is not a defense under the law. If that were true, every jail in LA would be emptied because everybody's drinking and doing drugs. That at least would be their defense. So the fact that he has a long history of drug and or alcohol abuse is not a mental defect. Number one. I would like to point out something that you just showed. I've been carefully studying it frame by frame, and that is Nick Reiner, the defendant. This is after he has allegedly left his parents' house covered in their blood. They were attacked in their sleep. He waited for them to be asleep, according to prosecutors, so he could stab them multiple times and slit their throats. We don't know if there are any defensive wounds yet, or they murdered in their sleep before they could even begin to fight back. Covered in blood. Why do I know that? Because at the hotel where he checked in around 4 a.m., not too far away, the bed was covered in blood, and there was a blood trail all the way to the shower. He knew to check in under his name. He knew his name. He went in. He blacked out the window so you couldn't look in. You couldn't see him from the street, the parking lot, with sheets. Then he showered. The shower is full of his parents' blood, according to sources. He thought to pack, he thought to pack clean clothes with him, and he left. If you found your parents dead, God forbid, is that what you would do? I would call 911 and try to bring them back to life, resuscitate them. That did not happen. Why? So after he's completely clean, hair washed, the works, he then goes, thirsty, and goes over to the gas station, goes in, goes to the refrigerated area, gets a drink, and calmly waits in line. He is not insane. When he sees police approach him, before they say anything, he does this. Look, when Georgia State Patrol comes up behind me, I don't try to outrun him at 110 mph or let down the window and take out my Uzi, because I haven't done anything wrong. I might slow down, tap on the brakes. That's about it. So why did he go? All that tells me he is sane. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he did. And his lawyer has already teamed up. Defense attorney's best friend. Delay, delay, delay. Here we go.
That's an incredible recitation of the facts, which, as you point out, does, I think, undercut a narrative which will be built as he stands there in a suicide prevention vest that he is mentally ill. I think you recite some facts that clearly undercut that potential story. One quick question before we go, Nancy. Does it strike you at all that Alan Jackson, a famed defense attorney with a long list of celebrity clients, is his attorney? I don't know Nick Reiner's financial situation. I don't assume he has access to any money that would have been his parents, but it does strike me that he has one of the most high-priced, high-powered attorneys immediately off the bat in this case.
Let me just say, he ain't doing it for the love of the law. He is not a public defender. And my immediate thought was, who is paying for him? Cha-ching. Now, in California, there is the California Slayer rule. If you are convicted of murdering the person from whom you would inherit, you get nothing unless you're found NGBRI, not guilty by reason of insanity. Then you might get the money. It's thrown into probate. So I've got a very sneaky suspicion that Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele Reiner, are paying the bill for their son's defense.
Incredible. Incredible. I'm glad I asked you that question. That's incredible information. As is no surprise from you, Nancy Grace. Thank you for being with us here today, Nancy.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.